Hey, I'm Mel Crafting and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have another card process video, this time for this Good Job Mama card. As always, for more information, head over to my blog, melcrafting.blogspot.com. Okay, so this background, which I found in my stash, as well as this Good Job Mama stamp set, inspired this card. Also, it's Mother's Day very soon. First off, I trimmed down that background to remove the scrappy border. And I decided I wanted to make a square card using this background and the stamp set I showed you before. For the card base, I used this specialty paper by Christina Ree called, I think it's called Typewriter. Yes, Typewriter. So I've gone away and trimmed a piece down to 10.2 centimeters by 20.4 centimeters to make a 10.2 by 10.2 centimeter square card base using that specialty paper. With that size in mind, I used my Sizzix Big Shot and a square die to cut down my background to fit on the front of the card, whilst leaving a small border of card base. You'll see what I mean by this shortly when I test out how it looks on top of the card base. Here I'm basically layering the card base with the background to see how it looks. As my colouring was not perfect, I decided to lay a vellum on top of the background to conceal the imperfections, yet still get that colour of the background coming through as a feature of the card. So I've cut down the vellum to size with a slight overhang to help with adhering the vellum to the card front. I decided to stick down only the left hand side and leave the right hand side loose to allow a pop of colour to come through as you open the card. I'll show you how I adhere the vellum to the card very shortly to allow this to happen. The next part of this card is to stamp a sentiment on the vellum. So from this Good Job Mama stamp set, I decided to use this Good Job Mama, this heart, and you are doing a great job. I'm going to bring in my stamping platform now, which is a We Are Memory Keepers precision press. And I use washi tape to stick down my background. Although I'm going to be stamping on the vellum, I decided to stick down the background first to see what the overall look would be as I position the sentiment stamps. Shortly, I'll speed this up a bit as I stick my vellum to the stamping platform and position my stamps. Right, so the next step is to ink and stamp those stamps. As I'll be heat embossing, I use my anti-static powder tool first. This is just to make sure the embossing powder only sticks to the places where I've stamped. Again, I'll speed this part up, but basically I'm using clear embossing ink to stamp my sentiments, sprinkle black embossing powder over the top of them, then heat set it using my heat tool. And here is the heat embossed result. Now, to assemble this card, I bring back my coloured background. I'm just going to line up the vellum with the heat embossing over the top. Remember, I'm only adhering the left hand side and the right hand side will stay loose. I go and use the skinniest double-sided tape that I have to adhere this vellum to the background. And that's simply to limit the visibility of the tape and what I'm using to adhere it. I try and get the tape as close to the edge of the background piece as possible. And very soon I'm about to remove the release paper And now I grab my vellum piece and carefully line up the corner of the vellum with the corner of the background and gently press down across the top of the vellum to make sure it is adhered down and there's no bubbles or imperfections or wrinkles over the top of that vellum. To fold over that overhang, I decide to use a ruler and a bone folder to score a fold line in the vellum to make sure I get a nice clean crease and fold. Then once again, I'm going to bring in my skinniest double-sided tape to adhere that vellum overhang down onto the back of the background. As you'll see, I prefer to put the tape onto the vellum or the part being folded. This is to make sure I get maximum usefulness and adhesion from the position of the tape. Just removing the backing paper now, and then I'll press it down firmly. Now as you'll see soon, as I'll point to it, there's a bit of excess vellum overhanging the card. To remove this, I use my cutting mat and a scalpel and a ruler to cut it off cleanly. Discard that, and then all that remains is to stick the card front to the card base. I wanted a bit of dimension, so I decided to use foam tape to do this. I'll speed this part up shortly, but I grab my big roll of foam tape and I use it to cover the entire back of my card front with it. Just removing the last of the backing paper off the foam tape, then carefully lining up and pressing the card front to the card base, trying to leave an even border around that card front. Give it a good press down, and that's my good job mama card. I love how the vellum conceals my colouring imperfections but still allows the detail and vibrancy of the background to shine through. Once again, head over to my blog for more information. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll drop by and watch my channel again.